Amazon. Where the jungle turns into the ocean and the still water hides hundreds of lurking eyes. In a world where water is a trap and darkness is a weapon, who will survive when the giant python rises? Amazon mangroves. The death trap of the giant python. When the first rains of the season fall, the Amazon begins to shed its skin. The ground disappears under the murky water, and the entire giant forest is submerged in a sea of taboo mud. The towering tree trunks are now only exposed at the top, turning the entire land into a giant mangrove maze. Where there is no concept of where is the shore, where is the depth. The sound of insects is silent, replaced by the quiet sound of water dripping from the foliage. On the water surface, hundreds of creatures are forced to change their way of life, now all become reluctant swimmers. Just one mistake touching the water surface, any creature can become prey. A three-toed brown sloth slowly swung from a low branch, trying to swim across the gap to find a patch of young leaves on the other side. The water was cold, murky, and smelled of mud, its every movement sending ripples that spread far and wide. From below, a huge black shadow began to move. The monkeys howled above. In an instant, the anaconda glided by below, its body undulating like a dark band. The sloth used all its strength to swing itself up the moss-covered tree trunk. The water rippled, the shadow disappeared. Luck was on the slow one's side this time. The water gradually returned to stillness. But somewhere in the thin layer of waves, a feeling of tension still lingered. The monkeys above, who had been chirping a moment ago, now fell silent. For it, time was never rushed. The anaconda could lie motionless for hours, even days, just waiting for the surest opportunity. Sloths are not its favorite food. Sloth meat is scarce, bones are numerous, the smell of anise is indescribable, and most importantly, they are too slow to make a perfect hunt. Anaconda prefers surprise, a quick pounce, a strong grip, and drowning its prey in water. Creatures like capybara, waterfowl, or even young caiman, just big enough, just careless enough, are the ideal choice. And in the middle of that vast water labyrinth, there is a true ruler, one that even other pythons avoid. The natives call it Mon Dalama. Mother of Mud, a giant female python that has lived through dozens of rainy seasons, familiar with every route, every underground water passage under this forest. Body more than 5 meters long, weighing more than 200 kilos, slithering in absolute silence. No sound, no waves, just a shadow quietly gliding through the murky world. Each contraction was a massive muscle that compressed energy, enough to crush a deer's bones in seconds. Above the water, only its eyes and nostrils emerged, silently observing. The eyes were opaque but could see in the dim light, and its body felt every vibration underwater, a sense evolved for silent killing. Mon Dalama did not need to hurry. She could lie still for hours, breathing so slowly that the water did not ripple. Her skin was dark, blending into the mud, making any passing creature think it was just a drifting tree trunk. The rains had raised the water, bringing new opportunities. Instinctively, she left the old forest, crawling toward a shallow area where there were traces of larger creatures. The water brought a heavy sound, the soft swish of hooves, and rapid breathing. Something was coming. And Mon Dalama knew that a real meal was within reach. The afternoon passed slowly over the mangroves. The pale sunlight filtered through the treetops, falling on the water in streaks of light, interwoven with mud and leaves. The capybaras ambled along the flooded banks, their fur soaked, their breath steaming in the heavy, humid air. They thought this was a safe place, just mud, water, and young grass. But beneath the water, Mon Lama was ready. She pressed herself between the roots. Every breath, every movement of the capybaras was felt through every tense muscle. A capybara broke away from the herd and stepped deeper into the water. It bent its head to drink, and in that moment, the mud moved. A swift lunge. A faint crack of bones. The remaining capybaras scattered, howling in terror, while the giant shadow slowly dragged its prey's body into the deep mud. Here, life and death had no boundaries, just two sides of the same circle. After a muddy feast, Mon Lama crawled deep into the depths of the water forest. She would rest for weeks, sometimes months. She no longer hunted. Her body grew heavier, slower, and with each movement, something else grew. She was pregnant. In the world of giant pythons, birthing season is a silent affair. No nest, no cave, no permanent shelter, only quiet, warm, and safe water. Inside that giant body, more than 40 embryos were developing, not in eggs, but in the mother's womb. In her last days, Mon Lama left the deep water, looking for a place where the current was gentle and the sunlight filtered through the foliage. It was a rare moment in her life, when her hunting instinct gave way to her motherly instinct. From her belly, small creatures, about half a meter long, crawled out one by one, sparkling in the sunlight like green-brown jade threads. There was no cry, no protective embrace, only a silent gaze from her mother. They immediately dispersed, disappearing among the tree roots and floating algae. In this world, life begins in solitude and grows in danger. But all of them carried the blood of the Manalama, of one who had survived hundreds of rainy seasons and never succumbed. She remained alone, her body weakened by weeks without food, lying still in the cool mud. In the distance, the sun broke through the clouds, casting a golden light on the water. Soon, from downstream, other sounds began to ring out, a shrill hiss, a rapid splash, and a distinctive gasp. A group of giant otters was approaching. 12 of them, moving as a unified unit, their ranks tight as if they were controlled by a single will. They are the small warriors of the Amazon, not the strongest, but the smartest and most courageous in this water. Each adult otter is more than 2 meters long, weighs nearly 40 kilos, with sharp jaws and jaw muscles with a terrifying bite. They coordinate their hissing, whistling, and even their eyes, a complex hunting language rarely seen in freshwater carnivores. When they swam near the water where the Manalama used to rest, the group stopped. On the surface of the water were long muddy streaks, clear traces of a giant anaconda. They recognized that scent, the scent of power and death. The otters were not afraid. They had confronted caimans, hunted baby crocodiles, and even small snakes. But with the giant who once dominated this water, they chose a different way, kept quiet, and went around. They flocked to this water just to find food. There was no intention of touching, no challenge, and no fear. For the otters, this vast watery forest is a never-ending feast. Fish, shrimp, crabs, even small snakes, all are part of the daily menu. The group coordinates their hunting rhythms. When the feast begins, each fish is torn into pieces, divided equally among the group. They do not fight, do not panic. Each individual understands his place. In a place where life is always waiting for death, solidarity is the strongest weapon. When their stomachs are full, the otters all pull together on a small strip of land at the water's edge. They lie in the afternoon sun, drying their backs, drying their wet fur, sometimes rubbing their bodies against each other to warm themselves. Occasionally, an adult raises his head, listening, always alert, because the Amazon is never completely peaceful. High above, flocks of birds return to their nests, the water reflecting the golden red of the sunset. A flock of giant otters lie close together, their eyes half closed amid the sounds of the forest, as if the Amazon were also taking a break after a long day of hunting. In the sky, the world of wings gradually returns to its own rhythm of rest. Amid the misty sky, flocks of herons, blue parrots, flamingos, and fish eagles fly along the last rays of light of the day. The chirping sound echoes through the canopy, not noisy, but like a song closing the symphony of the Amazon sunset. The Amazon gives the birds everything: food, shelter, and endless sky. The giant branches intertwine like a maze, creating countless canopy layers, where hundreds of bird species share space without ever meeting. Each bird, big or small, plays a role in this giant biological clock. They sow seeds, spread pollen, and are the breath of the forest, making the Amazon never stop growing. In the middle of the forest by the river, a bare clay wall appears in the deep green. When the last light of the day lingers, flocks of red parrots, blue parrots, yellow parrots, and pink parrots begin to appear. They swoop down in bright spots of color on the gray mud, like the living petals of the forest. The sound of flapping wings resounds. The whole atmosphere is suddenly full of energy. The parrots cling tightly to the wall, using their beaks to dig into each patch of mud, then eat each small piece with enthusiasm. This is not a prank, but a survival secret that only the Amazon forest can teach them. The wild fruits they eat every day, although delicious and nutritious, contain many naturally toxic compounds. And only the minerals in the clay mud can neutralize the toxins, protecting their digestive system and liver. But for parrots, this is not just a place to feed. When hundreds of individuals gather, their chirping sounds like a brilliant love song in the sunset. They touch their beaks, spread their wings, and stroke each other's feathers, a quiet courtship ritual in the orange-red sky. Many new couples form right on these earthen walls, and the following year, they will return together, eat together, sing together, and build nests together. Therefore, for Amazon parrots, the clay walls not only nourish their bodies, but also preserve the blood of future generations. In the sky, the sunset reflects on their wings, creating a colorful rain, red, blue, yellow, purple, brilliant in the orange sky. It is a rare moment when the Amazon becomes gentle, when even the noisiest creatures are enjoying the gifts of the forest. Please continue to accompany us to discover more hidden corners of nature where life and death always blend in one breath. If you love survival stories like this, subscribe, turn on notifications, and venture into the wild next time. Where the boundary between earth and sky is just an endless stretch of golden grass. Where the footprints of wild animals still leave their mark on the dry ground, and the wind still blows like a whisper of all things. Masai Mara appears like a living epic of African nature. Masai Mara, the land of the wild. On the endless grasslands of Masai Mara, a slender shadow moves silently close to the ground. It is the African cheetah, Acenonyx jubatus, the fastest animal on land, a creature whose every muscle, every blood vessel is designed to serve a single task: running and catching prey. The cheetah's slender body, long legs, flexible spine, and large chest all combine to create an ideal structure for sprinting. Unlike lions or leopards, cheetahs have claws that cannot be fully retracted, like spikes that help them grip the ground when accelerating. This remarkable feature allows the cheetah to reach speeds of up to 100 kilometers per hour in just the first few seconds, faster than a race car starting. On the cheetah's face, there are two black lines running from the eyes down the sides of the muzzle, which are not only identification marks, but also act as natural sunglasses. Helping to reduce glare and increase accuracy when observing prey in the hot. Grasslands. Although speed is the main weapon, the cheetah's attack strategy requires calculation. Cheetahs carefully observe their targets, which are usually young, old, weak, or separated from the herd, and only attack when there are favorable factors: wind direction, distance, terrain, and cover. Unlike many other carnivores, cheetahs are solitary hunters. In some cases, especially in the Serengeti, males may form small groups, often siblings, to hunt in formation. However, most cheetahs live alone and depend entirely on their individual skills to survive. On the vast grasslands, the midday sun burns each blade of dry grass, creating a gentle heat rising from the ground. The wind blows gently across the field, carrying the smell of dust, of the earth, and the tension that is gradually spreading in the air. A pack of cheetahs is on the move. No longer hidden, they are now showing their slender, graceful bodies, each step light as a glide, but full of determination. Each keeps a tactical distance, eyes locked on the target ahead. Two adult ostriches, grazing in the open, unaware that they are about to become the center of a perfect attack. The cheetahs did not choose this prey because it was easy, but because it was a worthy challenge. One wrong move could result in a bone-breaking kick. The sun was slowly sinking below the horizon of the Masai Mara, the sunset tinting the vast undulating grasslands with a golden glow. In the middle of the vast expanse, isolated from other herbivores, a group of African ostriches quietly made their way towards the dry sands, an ideal place to forage and find a mate. In the animal world, few species are as strange and majestic as the ostrich, the largest bird on the planet. With an average height of 2.1 to 2.7 meters and a weight of up to 150 kilograms, the African ostrich, Struthio camelus, they cannot fly, but in return they are true athletes of the savannah. Their long and powerful legs not only help them run at speeds exceeding 70 kilometers per hour, but also become effective defensive weapons. Each kick from an ostrich's leg can cause serious injury to enemies, even lions or hyenas. The body of an ostrich is designed for running. Although the wings are small, they play a role in maintaining balance when moving at high speeds. Their eyes are large, nearly 5 centimeters in diameter, the largest in the bird world, helping them detect danger from a distance, sometimes hundreds of meters. In the flat environment of the grasslands, that vision is a vital weapon. Ostriches live in small flocks of a few individuals to a few dozen, usually consisting of a dominant adult male and many females. They eat a variety of food: grass, seeds, fallen fruits, roots, and even insects and small reptiles. As dusk lengthens the shadows of the ostriches on the ground, the air over the grasslands gradually changes to the quiet of night. But in the rhythm of the changing seasons, the Maasai grasslands are not completely silent. A subtle but powerful change is taking place as the mating season begins. The morning sun shines on the smooth, dark feathers of the adult male ostrich. The skin on its neck and legs turns a bright pink, a clear sign of surging reproductive hormones. In the open field, the male enters his signature display. All around, the females watch calmly but do not take their eyes off. The choice is not random. Only the male with a strong physique, smooth feathers, and impressive display is enough to attract a mate. When a female approaches and bows her head, a sign of acceptance, the mating process is quick but successful. On the open ground, a shallow hole has been dug with feet and beaks, an egg nest. Not one, but many females in the flock will take turns laying eggs in this common nest. Each egg is almost as big as a small ball, with a thick, ivory white shell, weighing up to 1.5 kilograms, the largest egg in the entire vertebrate world. Although many females participate in laying eggs, only one male and one dominant female are allowed to incubate, a special model rarely seen in birds. Under the blazing sun of the Masai Mara, the ground seemed to steam in the midday heat. The air was heavy, tense, and the chirping of insects became clearer than ever. In the middle of the clearing, a female ostrich was incubating her eggs, her large body pressed close to the ground, her wings covering the ivory white eggs. like a living shield protecting the fledgling life that had not yet formed. It seemed like a peaceful moment, but her eyes were still constantly watching, looking up, circling, tense. Every movement in the grass was recorded. In the wild, incubation is never a passive act. It is a silent watch, where any mistake can cost the next generation. The nest, though dug low and hidden in the dry grass, was still an attractive target for predators. From behind a nearby mound, a few wild dogs began to approach, moving silently under the thick grass. They had smelled the presence of the eggs. The female ostrich sensed something. She perked up slightly, not moving from her position, but ready to react. Rather than rushing straight to defend, the female ostrich decided to distract. She stretched her neck and charged in the opposite direction, creating strong flapping of her wings and a loud noise that sent dust flying. A familiar tactic to draw the predator's attention to her and protect the nest behind. But the pack of wild dogs was not fooled. One of the younger, faster ones broke away and charged straight for the egg on the edge. It did not hesitate, did not waver. By the time the ostrich turned around, it was too late. When the dust settled and the wild dogs retreated, the air around the nest fell silent again, but not the silence of peace, but of a moment of waiting. Under the hot sand and the wings that had not left the nest for many hours, the ostrich eggs began to move. The ivory shell gently vibrates with the rhythm of the push from inside. A few rattling sounds echo, fragile but full of life. Thin cracks spread like spider webs on the surface. From within, tiny beaks begin to emerge, patiently tapping each time to break the shell that has been protecting them for more than 40 days. Within a few hours, the other eggs hatch one by one. The entire nest is now a flock of fledgling ostrich chicks, huddled next to the tall legs of their Under the protection of the male and female ostriches, the chicks quickly learn to adapt to the harsh environment. The chicks are not taught by words, but by observation and imitation. They imitate the way their parents peck at the ground, select seeds, dig for roots, and avoid dangerous insects. Against the cloudless blue sky, the dry ground gradually heats up under the midday sun. In the distance, a rare shallow puddle remains after the rains of the previous season. This is a frequent destination for many species, where herds of animals come to quench their thirst, find food, or simply escape the heat. From behind the tall grass near the water's edge, the pack of African wild dogs appeared again. They were not in a hurry, not in a need to hide, just walking leisurely but carrying an instinctive alertness. Their ears were erect, their eyes constantly scanning the space for every movement in the space. Today they lingered around the edge of the water, not hunting, but also not missing any opportunity. The African wild dog lichen pictus is a highly social carnivore distinguished by its mottled coat of yellow, black, and white, with no two individuals alike. They have a slender body, long legs, large ears, and a strong heart, all of which are optimized for persistent hunts that can last for kilometers. Unlike other single predators, wild dogs hunt in organized packs, usually 6 to 20 individuals. They coordinate perfectly through calls, gestures, and quick reactions like a well-trained fighting unit. Once they have chosen their target, they do not give up until the prey collapses from exhaustion. Under the blazing sunlight that slant across the sparkling water, the flock of ostrich chicks still slowly moves towards the puddle. Behind, the male and female ostriches have already noticed the presence of the threat. It does not take long for the pair of ostriches to force the pack of dogs to retreat to the edge of the thick grass. There is no longer a direct threat. Order is temporarily restored. In this harsh land, moments of decisive defense are the boundary between loss and continued survival. For ostriches, power lies not in their claws but in their speed, bravery, and determination to protect the young life placed in their hands. As the sun begins to set on the western horizon, the orange light dyes the Masai Mara grasslands in a mystical hue. Tall grasses sway in the afternoon wind, birds of prey circle overhead. In the midst of this scene, human figures appear. Maasai with their distinctive red robes, long spears in hand, and colorful necklaces are moving through their ancestral land. This is not only a grassland of wild animals, but also the place that witnessed the harshest rites of passage in Maasai culture, the lion hunt. In the past, a young Maasai man to be recognized as a true warrior, a Moran had to face an adult male lion. Not to kill for pleasure, but to prove his courage, determination, and ability to protect the community. It is a test of intelligence, strength, and sacrifice. The warriors will not use bows or arrows or long-range weapons. They enter the confrontation with only a spear and faith in themselves. Each scar on their body is a badge. Each time they survive a confrontation with the ultimate predator, they are recognized as adults in their community. Although today the tradition is no longer practiced as before, partly due to conservation laws, and partly due to changing perceptions, in each of their steps, the old spirit still echoes. The Maasai are no longer the ones confronting lions, but have become the guardians, protecting the very beast that was once a symbol of courage. In the vast savanna, people and animals that were once on opposite sides of the battle line now live side by side in a new rhythm of life, a transformation that does not lose its core, but enriches its identity. Tradition still lives not on spears, but on understanding and living together with nature.